Hello, everyone.
Hi,
I'm
Angela.
Taro Stash. I'm hosting this Laugh and Learn Magic Tool Talk about offerings. And I have with me, are you now Conjure Bear? No, Barely Balanced Tarot,
That's me.
Conjure Bear Chris, and I have Purple Elephant Deb H and Cartomancy Mesquite here, Angela, and special guest Monkey. So it's good to have all of you here. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting us.
Always grateful.
Well, and this is, let's face it, this is a laugh and learn based upon suggestions from the best chatters. I see you. I see you. So let's say hi to a few people, and then I think we have a whole lot of information to cover, don't we?
Think so.
A lot.
I think so.
This way, people. Chris was early.
And Angela wrote notes. Or did that.
Angela took notes.
Was early and has notes.
I mean, I don't know about this, but perhaps overachievers. But I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're spending time with me. So
And props. We brought props.
Yes.
And vocabulary.
And vocabulary. Yeah, I mean, my guests are making me do stuff. It's like, holy crap.
Emphasis on the learn and the laugh and learn.
Oh, that's right. There is the learn part of that. So Plucky Heroine was here first. Hello. I'm glad you are here with us. Lottie B is here. Hello. Zane, Tarot, Toke, and Witchery. Good to see you. Pia's Life. Pia's Life. Did I already say hi to Pia's Life?
I don't think so.
Ziggy B is here. Hi, Ziggy. Good to see you. Meruta is here. Hello. Akila B24. Good to see you. Kristen is here. Deanne Blue Crescent Tarot is here. And Beth Aspasia Rising. Good to see you. And
Cheyenne Shining.
Cheyenne Shining. Hello. Well, I think we are pretty gorgeous, aren't we? With or without the hair, Chris?
What?
Nothing. Nothing. Well, just look pretty, Chris. It's okay. Jonathan Daly is here. Hi, Jonathan. And all right.
Jonathan, I hope you're like okay and friends and stuff, are okay. Like so.
Yes.
Lots of prayers.
Yep. All of those are needed. Okay, I think we've got everybody. So this is a Laugh and Learn Magic Tool Talk about the topic of offerings. And let me have my guest introduce themselves other than me going, hey, you, Chris, Conjure Bear Chris, Barely Balanced Tarot. Link is below. Please like and subscribe to his channel, although he's not putting anything.
One day, I'll surprise you all.
So, why are you a good person to talk about offerings to?
This is just the brief part, right? We're like
this is the very brief part.
Okay.
Yes.
It has become central to my practice. Okay. I learned a lot about it and why it's important, and it has transformed the way that I operate.
Beautiful. Deb, Angela, why are you good people to speak with about offerings?
Well, that's part of my shamanic path. I do shamanic healing, and offerings are a big part of that.
And I tend to be a little bit impulsive. And so I may not bring an offering with me, but I will find something that I think is special to use for an offering.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I talk about offerings because I grew up in a time where there's, especially with magical workings, there is always some sort of an exchange of
Yes.
energy of something. So, but I also grew up with I grew up in the Catholic Church where we did offerings all of the time. There was always an opportunity to make offerings. So.
Mhm.
All right, so Lisa's here, mysterious, mystical moments, and I think I saw some other people. Rossi's Den, hello, and Morella is here, and Deanne has got your back, Chris. She said, "I mean, you can watch old Chris videos."
All 6 of them right there. Oh,
Sure.
somewhat. Speaking of that, just real quick, because you folks that do the YouTube videos, I got like my first snarky comment the other day from a video that's like what, a year and a half, 2 years old.
Congratulations!
You are somebody when that
It
happens.
was Norman that had it was using a birch rod or birch twigs instead of a broom, and I'm like, it can be a broom, it can be a whip, it can be a rod. Birch twigs, I give the whole like spiel of the Hawaiian birch twigs are completely appropriate. They were just like some kind of stickler for like. I went back to the original Earl and Norman and blah blah blah, and I'm like, yeah, you're gonna be challenging everything if you're gonna be with that stickler.
City, good to see you. And Jonathan said yes, most people that he knows are okay, and a few people are missing. A few family members still, and just getting caught up to make sure. Sherry Voices from the Swamp is here. Hi, Sherry. Good to see you. And Beth said, Deb, offerings on the fly. So that's true. So, yeah, there you go. And 6 videos is a great binge. So,
oh yeah, I don't. Hardly any of them are short. Surprise.
Yeah, and Beth says, "Congrats, you've made it into the big time." When snarky comments come to you, Chris.
When I'm not even making content right now.
Hey, but here's the thing: when you create content, it's available when people need it.
Always there.
Firm believer that people find it when they need to. So, all right. Okay, so let's do this. Everybody knows there's going to be one. Today's video is brought to you by the word offer. Everyone say it with me. Offer. Offer. To present as an act of worship or devotion. I offer my gratitude when you like, share, and subscribe to our channels. Offer. Offering. So there you go. Twisted Sushi is here. Hello. Debbie Aquarius Owl. And I think I said Linda Keller. Just getting caught up. I see Tony. Antoinette, Intuitive Tarot and Jewelry is here. And if I've missed anybody else, my apologies. Gerald, when you say offer like that, it sounds like a mob boss order.
An offer you can't refuse.
It's for entertainment purposes only. So, okay. So we had, I've sent my guests some questions, and I thought, let's go ahead and start. First, we'd like to define offering. So who would like to take a first stab at that?
Well, an offering is something you give in return for receiving something. It's when an exchange of energies.
Yes. Okay. Chris?
It's an act of devotion. And in some small way, it's best that it is some kind of sacrifice. Even if it's just the 25 cents you paid for the single little tea light or birthday candle you needed because you didn't have anything else that day, it's your money. Your money represents your time, your effort that you've accumulated. So anything that you buy for an offering is a sacrifice. Yeah, it is an act of devotion. It's an act of worship, and it creates that exchange. In one of the teachers that I have, it creates not debt as in you owe me something, but it creates a magical deficit. So when you've given something to the other side, now nature hates a vacuum. There's going to be an exchange of energy back. So that's one way that an offering works, kind of like a windmill. But in the offering, it's offered without expectations of anything back, and I'll go more into that later. At least in the traditions, the couple of traditions that I'm
Of course.
from.
Deb, how do you define offering?
An offering to me is something that is special to me, that has worth to me. And it would be the first of something. So if I'm going to offer a bottle of water, I would open it and offer it. I wouldn't take a drink out of it first and then offer it. So it would be special to me, and it would be the first of something.
That's an important thing. The first of something. Yes. I think for me, offerings are about living in gratitude. It is that core is an exchange of energy of some kind. Energy, money, intention, something along those lines. And it, for me, it actually shows the value in which I am appreciating for whatever I am offering. So,
and even if you don't have anything, but you're butt ass naked somewhere, there's still ways to do offerings, and we can talk about that later. But
yes.
Yeah.
Twisted Sushi said, I'm going to start writing down my questions that this is bringing up already. Good. And Jackie Smiths is here. Hey, Jackie. Good to see you. Okay. So that's, and I think it's very important. And this is one of the beautiful things about the Laugh and Learns is everybody's definition is their own, which is the beautiful part of living magically. And I think that's really quite fun.
There's one more definition I'd like to offer, which I really love. So this is not mine. This is just one that, the teacher that I'm with now, he's received actual transmission from a legit Inca lineage, and I think it's the Caro Indians. I can't remember the tribe, but they approach human existence as an offering to the god. So the god that every animal, every tree, every herb, they all have their purpose here, and the purpose of human beings is to create beauty for the gods. We're the only sort of animals that can actually create and make art, and stuff like that. And so when they approach offerings, you approach it in the most beautiful way that you can make it. Whatever your means are, your talent, whatever your skills are, you're making beauty for the gods, for the spirits, the best that you can. And that's the appreciative factor. But in everything that they do, from wearing bells on their feet and the beautiful costumes and going to the farm and washing up, everything is done as a ritual. And it's all elevated just a little bit. The bells, makeup, like everything's just elevated a little bit, because they are always offering beauty to the gods. And I think that's really beautiful to think about your life being an offering back to whatever gave you birth. Right?
That's amazing. Tony shared, offer is a selfless act of giving something from you to another. It can be anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Nalani said, offering suggestions is a good offer. Well played. Well played. Offering, give from the heart. Yes. Yes. So these are wonderful. Thank you, everyone. So here's and here's a this may be a loaded question. But why is it important for you to give offerings in your practice? Don't give me a textbook answer. Talk about, listen to me. Don't give me a textbook answer. Talk about your personal experience while we say hello to Coyote Budman. Hi, Coyote. So, who would like to start with why it's important for you to give offerings?
I think it's a sign of respect.
Mm-hmm.
Respect for what you have received. You're offering your thanks. You're offering your gratitude, but you're also offering respect and sincerity.
Uh-huh. Yes. Yeah. Chris, thought? Why is it important for you to give an offering or to give offerings?
It's important, like I said, because it's become a core part of my practice. But one of the reasons it's become that, I did not grow up Catholic. So I grew up in I grew up in a congregational church, but we didn't have incense. We didn't have, we had candles at weddings, maybe. There's no worship that way in Protestant churches. So I grew up without that. And then even in my Wiccan practice for years and years and years, that at the time offerings weren't really a part of what we were doing then.
Mhm.
And so we used incense, we lit candles, we did stuff, but I can light incense all day. It's not an offering until you dedicate it, right?
Yep.
And then it was like in my early to mid 30s when I joined a Druid organization, ADF, Arnoyak Campaign, and they brought that tradition of offering and sacrifice from Proto-Indo-European cultures. It's there. It's in all of them, and that's what was missing. That gratitude and gifting back was totally missing. And yeah, like I said, you build relationships that way.
Yeah.
And I have built lots of relationships that way. It is the core of my practice now. So.
Absolutely. Beth said, interesting. It seems as though in our culture and in most religions, an offering is given to get something back, even if intangible, like protection.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. I will actually say, part of my practice has been if I am requesting something, I am asking, what would you like in exchange? And my personal practice is to offer that before I ask for what it is that I am desiring.
It's an interesting. We'll talk about this later on. It's an interesting topic. There's a fine line between offering and contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are two different kinds of relationships, but offerings are about relationships. So for me, most of my offerings, they're part of my devotional practice. I have a daily ancestor, and then I do, if it's Monday, it's Moon. If it's Tuesday, it's Mars. I do the planetary powers devotion along with my ancestors and elders of place every day. But if I am off somewhere, I will be making offerings to the place I'm in or the spirits of that place. But I do all of this without asking for anything. So this is just like if I sent you a gift, Gerald, I wouldn't be expecting a gift back. It's because I love you but that is relationship building.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times when I might go to the store to buy something, and that's a transaction, but it's still a relationship. It's not an offering.
Mm-hmm.
But it needs to be clear when you're making an intention what it's for, because especially in grimoire work, you will call up a spirit that you have no devotional relationship with that spirit. It's a contractual relationship with that spirit,
Yeah.
which is totally fine too. Which is clear what the intent is, because you're not going to continue making offerings to that. It's like a one and done. I've paid for this service, and right. So it's different.
And Twisted Sushi said there is a request, and then there is an offering, and there is, there's contracts and all that stuff. So yeah, and Milani said there's an offering and there's an exchange, two different things. Yes, you are correct. And
offerings are important to me to show appreciation for the relationship.
Mhm.
So before I ever ask for anything, I'm giving an offering to show appreciation for the relationship and how it will develop. And then I continue to do that whether or not I ask for anything.
That's very, I like that.
I love our jumping straight in. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and it's an offering. It's a way of demonstrating value.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I saw this and I thought of you. I want nothing in return. I'll prepare Jeffrey's coffee for in the morning before I go to bed. It's sort of an exchange. So
it's gift giving.
Mhm.
And you don't give gifts expecting back. What you're doing is building relationships. So
yes,
I might make offerings. I make offerings to Hermes all the time, right? So I'm building that relationship with him. But that's like having a friend on speed dial. Like if we're friends, Gerald, but we may give gifts or whatever, but I know I can call you at some point,
sure,
penniless with nothing, and say, "Hey, I need your help," right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's the way I'm building a relationship with most of my allies that I work with. I just love them, and I'm giving these things to them as a part of my time, my effort, my energy, because I appreciate and gratitude. But I'm building a relationship there, so that if I do need their support, like it's there, right? So that's not a contract exchange. It's still an exchange, and that's core to the whole idea. But it's about building relationships, and you have a good pal on your side. It's not like, hey, I'm calling on a favor, or you owe me this. It's like, I need help, and they love you because you know.
Yeah. Couple of people have come in. We had Fatima and Shaw Woman, and a couple. I mean, Debbie said an offering is a gift without the expectation or requirement of reciprocation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Plucky Heroine said, I agree. There's two types of offerings. One, the overture action, and two, the response.
Mhm.
And Tony shared, burning leaves for intentions are offerings without realizing it. So is lighting candles for ancestors at the altar or church. Then there's the silent super at Halloween. Oh, well,
Silent supper. Yeah, we called it the dumb.
Yes,
supper.
silent supper.
Mm-hmm.
Supper, yes, yeah. And Cheyenne said, we give offerings of thanks and gratitude to our fellow content creators by smashing the like button, sharing, subscribing, and expressing our appreciation by showing up. Ooh, Cheyenne. I should have used that for the video. That's awesome.
Mhm.
That's awesome.
That's funny. So that's good. So did everybody? Okay, so everybody shared why it's important for offerings,
Mhm.
and so this is where it gets a little soft in the questions, because I have, how do you know what to offer, and then share some examples of offerings. So we'll start with the how do you know what to offer, and Angela, you want to go?
Yeah, some of those are traditional. Like with my family up in the mountains, tradition is offering something like some of your best whiskey
Mm-hmm.
or tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what you're doing. Like if you're asking for a blessing for the land, you would plant a fruit tree.
Okay. That's great. And I think that's a really important point, is traditional offerings are very important.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where, for me as a kid, I got some pushback in Sunday school because it was, well, it's tradition. And I'm like, well, why do we do it that way? And it's tradition. It's like, well, why do we do it that way?
Mm-hmm.
I was that kid. Surprise. Uh,
Like we were all that kid.
yeah. Well, and I would ask my mother that, and she would
Mhm.
sit and she would listen to what I was asking so she could help me understand it. And it was quite wonderful. So I think part of that is I'm just going to piggyback on that, Angela. The traditional offerings are important. There's also, for entertainment purposes only, there's a lot of information out there about offerings and all sorts of different spiritual paths. And if you're curious about what you're offering, um, research it. Ask your elders, ask people, and I think it's fun to be able to listen and to hear the answers and to find to grow up. To find the growth in that,
Mm-hmm.
and to check in. So, but
I
um,
always approach that as it like that's part of the relationship building to me, is figuring out what the spirit or whatever you're offering enjoys. But that's part of friendship building, right? Because
yeah,
then you figure out, you know, Gerald likes green, or whatever, and you start picking up on that, and that's part of relationship building. So part of it to me would be, sometimes for me, I have sort of some like general offerings that are kind of just good for everything. But you can start out that way, and then as you then begin to build a relationship with that spirit, or whatever it is that you're working with, they'll give you nudges. They'll give you nudges, and that's when you got them. You're on the line, right? When that Because then that's part of the exchange, because that's
yeah,
how they're going to be communicating you when it's important, right? So you're learning a language together, and that's part of that process.
yeah.
But researching first, if it's a deity that's been around for a long time, there's usually something traditional for them, and you can either modernize it or just go with that, and it's a little extra sign of respect and gratitude.
And in my practice, we have actually we've done readings. We've used the spirit board to find it out, to find out, okay, what would you like? What would be an appropriate offering? So, but yeah,
And a good place to start is whatever being that you are having this relationship with. What kind of being are they? Are they a nature spirit? Is it a fire element? Is it a water element? What kind of being is this person? And so that can steer you in a direction of
Mm-hmm.
the kinds of things you
Yeah.
might look at for an offering.
yeah. And
Go ahead.
oh, you might be surprised by what response you get.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they want a song.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Maybe they want you to write a poem. Maybe they want you to, plant a seed or something like that. So,
Hermes will never turn down a poem or song. So,
yes.
it's kind of his thing. So
Shelley is here, and I think and Sylvia is here. And Jonathan shared, when I've had nothing else, I offer my breath, especially when working with plants.
yeah. Oh,
Yes.
good. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially as you set that intention. Out in the woods, I give nuts, popcorn seeds, flower seeds, something to give back to nature. Yes, Lisa. And yeah, it's a good. What are you trying to attract with your offerings? And sometimes that's an important thing. Sometimes an offering could be because you're working with and you're developing, and sometimes you're doing it because it's something that helps you live in gratitude.
Yes.
Mhm.
It's like Juno Sphere always says, each gift is a breath. treat it that way. So
we were talking about well, we're talking about it right now. I guess what to offer. What if you're working with specific ancestors, like my grandmother or my grandfather? When I do, I do offerings for them around Samhain for all of my beloved dead. But then on their birthdays, so especially for them, it's just what they liked in life. So my grandpa gets a cheap little can of snuff and some black coffee with sugar in it, no cream. And my grandma gets an apple with a piece of stick peppermint because she loved to eat those together. It's really good if you've never tried it. And some coffee with cream, no sugar in it. So those are the most special, I think, for me, because it feels like we're having a birthday party and I'm just giving them the stuff that they like.
Yeah. Any other thoughts from anybody else about how do you know what to offer?
I have one other thought is that sometimes, I'm thinking specifically of the Fae, they might want something that is Fae or nature beings. They might want something that's not natural. They might want something shiny or sweet. So know who you're giving the offering to.
And be open, because there are surprises like that sometimes.
And
Aphrodite loves champagne and sweet coconut cake, and that's not just coming from me. That is a thing.
I love it. It's not just coming from me, but I won't say no to that.
Well, that's what's fun too when you were working late, because I was doing those things for Aphrodite for a long time. And then I would talk to other people like, I do champagne and coconut cake, and I'm like, what's going on here? And then the teacher that I'm like working with now, that's what he's doing too. So I say it's not just me, but that's the fun thing when you start talking to people who work with Odin or work with Hermes, and they're like, what's he like? I'm like, yeah.
I think an important thing to keep in mind is you know what to offer, because if it's important to you, it will be accepted, because that energy, and it's something like, it's like Deb, you were talking about, you offer it first.
Yes.
It's like, food. A lot of traditions, they will, if you're sitting down at a meal, a plate is prepared as an offering.
Yes.
And that is given first. And that's a great, oftentimes people, when they sit down, they do some sort of a prayer or a saying, and it helps to elevate that. That's an example of an offering. Offerings are also that idea of time and energy, volunteering, just doing something for someone else, expecting nothing else in return. Because guess what? You have a skill that somebody else doesn't have, and they might need it.
If you're working with a healing deity, you may offer her candles and incense and stuff on the daily, but the real offering for her, she might ask you to go volunteer at a hospital or something.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's when it gets fun, when they start asking for things back, because they will work through you to get their agenda done in this world. That's how it works, and that's what you're doing this because you're asking them to do the same thing there for you. So they will work through you.
Yes.
And sometimes it gets really, really interesting when you just meet the person that you were meant to give something to, and it has nothing to do with you.
Hi, Delphi. Thank you for being here. Well, and going back to what you were talking about, Chris, is that offering, it's a process. It's a journey. It can lead us on an adventure. And I could start doing something for A, and then suddenly other things have opened up. It's really amazing. So what were you going to say, Deb? It felt like you were going to say something.
I don't remember.
It'll circle back.
Okay. I want to catch up a little bit in chat. Tony said, if you're working with elements, e.g., water or earth, you might offer to help clear debris, live greener, lessen your ecological footprint. Yes. There you go. Offer, that. I said hi to Sonia. We have a question from Nalani. Can an offering be an attempt to release something that no longer serves you but may benefit the recipient?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm just trying. I'm like trying to get my head around that too. Yeah. It's just like if Gerald, if you gave me something that was really nice, but it's just not my thing, or I gave you something, I always give something to people who understand. Like, hey, if it's not for you, pass it on.
I do the same
right?
thing, Chris.
Because it's for someone else. It just might need to go through
Yep.
me to get to them.
Yep, I have done that to people. I've given people gifts and I've handed it to them. I said, and if you don't like this, I'm okay with you giving it to someone else.
Mm-hmm. So to kind of answer that, I
Had
have
this
things that I have that
Yeah.
I don't want that I have offered as
Hang on.
offerings.
Hang on. What'd you share, Deb?
Right.
Angela had this for years.
How long did you have it for? Oh, about 15 years, and I didn't know why I got it in the first place.
And it's an elephant, of course. And so then we met,
Mhm.
and she realized it was
For her.
I love that. I love that. Deanne said, my grandma hated cooked carrots. Maybe I should open a can and dump them in the trash. Sorry, ignore me. That's funny.
it's your grandmother would get a big giggle out of it. So
Mhm.
I actually think, if that might lighten the mood, I think that's brilliant.
Mhm.
yes,
So,
that's what I forgot before too, is that if something pops in your head to do or to give,
That's what you do.
that's what you do. It's the thought popped in for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
do want to say, so we were talking about volunteering and or living more eco-friendly, and there was a whole list there. I would say be careful with that approach, because it's easy to do things that are, just because it's good for the environment and it makes you feel good doesn't necessarily mean it's an offering.
Mhm.
It needs to come from them,
Right.
not the other way. If it's something like that, because otherwise it's just like, oh, I'm doing this good thing, and I'm just gonna, I'll tell you right off, the Fae are not gonna vibe with that.
Be a thought that
But
would
they might ask you to clean up
normally
a
encourage
specific
something
part
new.
that they're in, right? But if you're just like cleaning up all over the road, that's not necessarily for them. They don't live there. They would want it there. So I would just say be careful of that. Noble ideas don't necessarily translate to offerings,
Yeah,
but they can if it's coming from that side.
coming from them.
Does that make sense?
yeah, listening to your guides,
Uh,
what a concept. Go ahead, Deb.
if it's a novel thought that you haven't had, it's something you wouldn't ordinarily do, and the thought suddenly occurs to you.
Mhm.
That's from them.
Yep. And Tom, Early Ritual is here. Shelley said, I have been on nature walks and was presented with a feather or heart rock and gave my hair as an offering.
Mhm.
Good, perfect.
Here's
Probably became part of a bird nest.
probably.
They
And
love to use hair.
Lady Silver is here. And one of the things during our Lammas celebration, there were lots of acorns around.
Mhm.
And I was like going, ooh, so I was picking up acorns and I'm looking, what can I leave in exchange? What can I leave in exchange? And I didn't have anything really good that was personal to leave in exchange. So I left the acorns. I did not take them. So
This may be a natural place to just talk about what if you don't have anything when you're like out and about. So we've already touched on some of this stuff. So an offering doesn't have to be a physical object. So especially when you're out in nature, you will find the perfect feather. You will know it's be right in your path. You know it's yours. And I've heard some people say, "Yeah, but I wouldn't get it because I didn't have anything to give." I'm like, "But you did. You knew it was for you."
Yeah.
Maybe it's all the other offerings you've given, right? But anyway, you still want to give if you get a gift, give a gift. The Fae love music. They love song. They love poetry. So if that's all you have to give, just sing a
Yep.
little song, even if it's Mary Had a Little Lamb. Sing it to the best of your ability, and that is a perfect offering. Take that feather home because it's a gift.
Absolutely.
It's charged. It goes home with you.
Yep. Allie is here, Heart and Soul Connected. Hello, good to see you. She said, I remembered the natives telling me spit can be a gift.
Yep.
It's true.
Urine can be a gift in specific context, just like breath for plants.
Yep.
Just make sure you're.
And Jackie shared a verbal offering, a thank you.
Yes.
I mean that's there. I think it's one of those things that it's about the intention.
Yeah.
So,
well, think about it this way: we're giving offerings all the time. If we're doing that persuasion, we're not expecting something immediately back, right? So if you're a person that goes to a place regularly and makes offerings to that place or the spirits of that place, or just in general, and then you're out in nature and you find something, I mean, is it expecting a gift right away? Take it. You can give an offering later if you still feel so inclined. Yeah, don't get so hung up on it just like a business transaction. If somebody gives you a gift out of the blue, you don't have something to give them right away, right? Take it. Give them gratitude, and graciously accepting a gift is a gift back itself.
That's an important thing. If you're given something, appreciate it graciously. Yeah. Deb, Angela, I know Angela has notes. Please look at your notes and guide us to the next thing. No pressure.
Okay, is a gift, are there times when gifts are not necessary? Well, yes, there are times when gifts are not necessary. Like Chris just said, if you give regularly and a feather is in front of you, and that's obviously something personal to you, you pick that up. You don't necessarily have to give a offering right away.
Give a thank you.
At all.
Give a gratitude.
It may be just because of your regular practice that feather came to you. You may have already made that offering, many, many times. For that feather to come your way.
Yeah. Acknowledge the gift and accept it and be gracious.
And some practices isn't the right word, but in some, I guess, traditions, you're not supposed to do magic. You're not supposed to give offerings if you're sick. And so that's another time when you need their support, right? If you don't, your cup has to be full before you make offerings for them. So that's a time you're down. You're broke your toe. You're in the emergency room. You aren't thinking about offerings, but I will call on Bridget. Like, I need your help, girl. It's a friendship. It is a relationship. Offerings are the way that you do it, and that goes back and forth.
Yeah. There is a lot of people acknowledging the importance of accepting the gift graciously, because that gracious acceptance is the gift.
Yes, the gratitude.
Yeah. Because, and it's like I've given people hand knitted items, and I've sewn things for them, and you can tell when people don't really get it, the time and the energy that has gone into those things. Because I just didn't go down to the local store and pick this up. I spent, sometimes blood, sweat, and tears in creating this.
Yes.
This pound cake is made from scratch. It did not come from a box.
Yeah. Well, and I love
Eat it a little slower, please.
sometimes you can actually see they have like little tags that you can put in hand knitted things that said this was made with a lot of time and swear words. You know, and I actually told somebody his wife knitted him a sweater vest, a jumper, and he didn't want to wear it because he didn't want to ruin it. And I said, if you wear it and you take care of it and it gets worn out because you've loved it and worn it so much and you cared for it, you will get another one because you are knit worthy. So,
Yes.
so
Love it.
yeah, eat a little slower. Slowing down. Okay. Some people just don't see the love cast into handmade, and that's okay. I mean, we know, and sometimes the important part is doing the work because that's for me, not necessarily for them. Deb, what did you have to share?
Well, I was just thinking that a gift to another person can still be a gift to someone you're working with or a deity, or it's the intention, it's giving from yourself, anything that's important to you or that you give, that you did, you made, you sang, you wrote, anything that is from you is an appropriate offering. And it doesn't have to be to the deity or the being. It can be in service of someone else.
Yes. That's very important. Yeah. Yeah, and beautiful stuff. And again, you know, Best Chatters. Oh my God, where is it? There it is. Best Chatters are, you know, they're going crazy. So this is beautiful. So, okay. So I'm going to remove this banner, and then this is where you can. We're about 10 minutes till 13 minutes till top of the hour. I'm trying to keep it at an hour. I've been challenged. Not by anyone on the screen, but what are, I mean, because we've had almost a month to think about offerings, and it's been on my mind. What other things are you thinking about? And I'll try to keep up with the chat. And Angela, do you have other notes that you've written?
Sometimes your guides can tell you what you need to offer. And those can be those thoughts that pop into your head, or you can ask your guide, what do I offer here? What is a good offering? And sometimes you'll get a better response than you really expected.
Yeah. I mean, and just, you have to, for me, it's important to ask from a place of genuineness and be willing to hear what is given back.
And wait for the answer.
Yes.
Have patience. You might ask today and get the answer 3 days later.
Yeah.
Or it might be, you know.
Yep.
So I would say a couple of practical considerations, because when I first started doing offerings, I didn't know what to do with the stuff left over. Like, what do I do? So just practical, because like if I have a piece of bread left out for the Fae overnight, do I throw that in the trash? Like, what do you do with the leftovers, right? So first of all, if you're leaving anything in nature, make sure that it is biodegradable and that there's no trace of it once it's been used or whatever. It is completely, you know, environmentally sound, I guess. But like home altars and shrines, if you do leave a piece of bread overnight or for how long, it is okay to put it in the trash. It's not disrespectful. Wine, alcohol, whatever left over, it is okay to put it down the sink or the toilet. It's not disrespectful. I'll get into that later why. But if you have a yard, certainly it's better to put that stuff in your yard because you want it to, the leftovers, that has nothing to do with the deity or the spirit at that point. It's just you, hey, this is an offering now to the spirits of the land. It's left over, it goes back to nature. If you can do that, do that. But some people live in an apartment in the city, you can't. But it is perfectly fine. The Romans actually had, and so a couple other societies, they had garbage. There were 3 garbage women deities. They're called the washerwomen. And so whatever you got through, you're throwing away. That was an offering to the washerwomen. They got the trash, literally the trash, but that is a gift to them because they take that and put it back into where it needs to go. And so it's not disrespectful if you want to put it down the toilet. Cloaca was the Roman goddess of sewers. It's perfectly fine to dispose of trash in an appropriately trash way because it has been used up then. I just wanted to throw that in there. You can also have, if you have an apartment, if you have a balcony, a lot of that stuff, if you have some plants, you can. And again, that's just practical at that point, and you're building a relationship with your plant spirits. It has nothing to do with the deities anymore, but it's a more appropriate way to get rid of something that can be used. But yeah, it's people get hung up on practical stuff, and it's okay. Some of you just needs a little validation. Yes, okay, put that down the toilet. It's used. It's been eaten. It's done.
Well, and I know any leftover, any leftovers from celebration. Again, we offer first to the deity in our circle, and anything left over is offered, is recycled, is put out with additional prayer.
So
go ahead,
that is similar to when we talk about transmuting energy. So if you're repurposing it for someone who can use it, so it's not wasted. It's reused until there's nothing left.
Yes.
Because guess what, folks? Magic is nature. Like, it's all the same. That's look to nature for your examples for how your practice should be, and the more you can align with that. So yeah, nature reuses everything. So urine, yes, can be an appropriate offering in the right context to the right things.
Yes. Exactly.
Don't do it in the cemetery.
I would not recommend that, and for entertainment purposes only. Holy mackerel!
It is okay to offer water to the tree or the places that can use it. They would,
of course. Well, and I think one of the things is there's many of us have altars of different kinds, and a lot of times those altars are an appropriate receptacle for offerings. Burning incense, lighting candles are great offerings, especially when they're placed with intent. I have an ancestor altar and a Legua altar that I put coffee on. And here, lo and behold, I do that on Monday mornings. And it was Wednesday. It was there you go. And it's the first out of the pot. It's the first out of the pot. It comes to Wednesday, and I was running behind, and I realized I did not do my offering. I quickly fixed that with apologies because there's this important aspect of there's the regularity of the offering. It's like meditating. When you meditate, it has certain powers to it. So
I'm glad you brought that up because that's something I was thinking as I was preparing for today to make sure I mentioned. When you get into doing offerings, especially if you are doing daily offerings, so I do ancestors every day, and then if it's Monday, it's the moon. If it's Tuesday, I do the planetary powers. I do Orphic hymns to them, and either Storax or frankincense. Storax for Zeus and Saturn. But it is really easy to slip into superstitious mode.
Mhm.
So don't do any offering because you think something's bad is going to happen if you don't. Do not do an offering that way. That is not how you do it.
Offering
Because you will, you
and
want to, your spirits that you are trying to give offerings to that way, you will attract the things you are trying not. Just don't do it that way. It's just
Mhm.
don't do it that way. So if the relationship has a give and take, they're not expecting it either, right?
Yeah.
You don't expect gifts from people. It's given freely or it's not given at all. So yeah, but it's really easy for us to slip into, oh my gosh, I forgot to do my ancestor offering a coffee this morning. They're going to be pissed. They're going to be mad. You don't, no, that is not how this works. You will attract other things that will be into that energy. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Don't do anything with a superstitious heart. Don't fall into it. You are a human being. You will forget. That's the grace. That's grace. That's grace. That's
And start off small.
Mhm.
Start off small. I mean, I have done a whole lot of research, and somebody wrote, it's like, make offerings meaningful to you.
yes.
They also suggested provide an element of sacrifice. Spending time with your own, spend your time growing your own flowers, sage, or tobacco, collecting wood from the land near your home, that sort of thing. Charge the offering with intention.
yes,
Mhm.
always.
Give the offering with heart-centered presence and gratitude, and spend a moment in a state of receptivity and openness. It's this idea of this is, okay, here you go. I'm going to sit for a while. It's not a rush. And go ahead, Deb.
I was going to say to you that I was called by a deity, and I wanted to find a representation,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't find one. So I heard in my head, just make one, baby. So I did, and that also was an offering. It was a greater offering than if I had found one to buy, because I made it.
Mhm.
Yep.
And it has my energy in it and the energy of the deity I was making it for.
Yeah.
So it may come to you just as a thought that I should do this for this person,
Mhm.
regardless of what level of person that is, if it's a deity or a spirit or what.
Yeah.
If it's
haven't.
to you to do it and it's in service of someone, then that can be an acceptable offering.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I haven't met a being yet that doesn't prefer something that you have put physical time, effort, creative energy into creating, growing, making, cooking. And as you're doing that process, you're investing that. It's done with glee because I am making this cake and I'm gonna, this is gonna be for my grandma later or whatever, or I'm growing these things specifically for, like, it just becomes a joy. It's just joy.
Yeah.
The more joy you put into it, or a poem that you've created, or a painting, or whatever it is. Here's one. I'm on 1 second, so don't lose your thought. One thing that in ADF that we were that again, this comes from Indo-European practice, is when you give an offering, it should be removed from the human world, from human use. So you would find in a lot of lakes and wells and things, broken swords, broken shields, because they actually would remove it from human use, before they even sacrificed it.
I
So when
see.
you're offering a candle, it's burned up. When you're offering incense, it's burned up. Whatever you're offering, the food, whatever it is used, or it goes bad, right? It's something that's removed from human use. If you create a song on the fly or a poem, and you can't even write it down, right?
Yeah.
It's in the moment. It's come from that. So I want to put that down there too, to keep that in mind, that an offering is something you're removing from the human world. And
Mhm.
that's sort of how it works, because they're not actually drinking the coffee. It's
Right.
saying, this is a piece of human world matter I am setting aside just for you.
True.
And that's the energy exchange that happens that way.
I have Pia's Life has said, how does everyone find enough time in the day to do offerings, meditations, etc.? I'm going to press pause on that, because one of the things that I found in research, because I was like going, we hear about offerings in, like, I heard about them in the Bible,
Mhm.
and there's five types of offerings in the Old Testament. Burnt offering, grain offering, the peace offering, the purification offering, and the reparation offering.
Mhm.
So, and I, it's been mentioned before, there are so many different types of offerings. And I think we could sit here, we could have, show 3, 4, and 5 about this and still have more to explore.
This could be a whole series on it.
It
So
could be a whole series. And what I would want instead is that people understand what it means to them,
Mhm.
because that's going to elevate it and make it even more special. And
Yeah, I would to answer Pia's question from my perspective.
Yeah, please.
If it's something that you are doing daily, you need to figure out a way to bring it organically into your routine, into your life. So it doesn't, if the daily offerings that I do for my ancestors, I open ceremony, it's a quick ceremony for me. It's something that I can sit down, I can do, I can get into space. I light the candles, that's part of opening ceremony. And then I say something when I light the coal. And then every time I do ritual, wherever I'm getting offerings, that's the same way I start. And I just have a little thing that I do that I say to the ancestors, that for the ancestors, elders of place and practice, and to all my kindred, like in the 3 realms.
Mm-hmm.
Then that goes directly into, then I'm going to do my daily prayer then to the moon or to Jupiter or to Saturn, to whoever's day it is. So that's my morning before sunrise daily practice. So it's a routine. So that's just, if something, if you're doing daily, get into a routine. If it's better for you to do it at night before you go to bed, however it fits into your schedule, make it easy but meaningful, right? But then for the other stuff, I may not be making offerings to all the things all the time, right? That's the daily thing I do. But then I make offerings to Santa Muerte on just special occasions, or maybe just on Saturday, right? Because that's Saturn's, would be the appropriate day if you're going to do it. So those are maybe something to do once a week, once a month, or only on their special, like I have lots of saints. So Bridget's Day for Imbolc is just for her. So, and that might be something I do outside. That might be a much more involved. I will be offering, more than just candles and incense. So it's what you're doing. But yeah, part of the practice's offerings is figuring out how to fit it into your life, because it's taking out some of your time, effort, and energy. So that itself is an offering.
Yeah. What do you think, Deb, Angela?
Well, I think an offering could be something as simple as, when you're talking about ancestors, I do a meditation and kind of talk to my grandmother when I do dishes.
Mm-hmm.
Just regular things you do daily can be an offering in a way, especially like with your ancestors, when you do something that they would normally do every day in their lives.
Yep.
And talk
If I'm eating a can of sardines, I'll set a couple out, because that's why I'm eating sardines, because they raised me on eating sardines. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think, Pia, as you think about this is it depends upon how much you want to do. And I think, and Tony said, it can depend on what path you are following sometimes as to how complicated it can become. And I think you're just starting on stuff, Pia, and just start doing one small thing and doing a little bit every day and do it consistently. And it's like my Zen teacher, she's like, you're supposed to sit for 20 minutes. And I'm looking, that's exactly how I responded. 20 minutes sitting still. She's like, then sit for 5 minutes. And she's like, sit for a minute. And I'm like, I can do a minute. Because it is about intention.
And then when you sit for that minute, you'll probably sit for much longer than that minute. But it's the mental trick. Speaking of that too, don't ever make offerings. It shouldn't feel like a chore. That's not good. That's not an offering. Don't do it when you're sick. Don't do it when you are very emotionally upset. It needs to be done when you are joyful, content, and you're able to give gratitude. When you're upset, sad, angry, whatever, that's the time you need to be calling on support, right? That's when you call your friend. You don't go buy gifts for someone, right? There was one other thing I was going to say, but it'll come back to me.
Deb.
The key word is practice. So you said you can do a minute. Start with a minute. Do a minute every day. And maybe in a week, you can do 2 minutes. So the key word is practice. And you just have to start. So make your practice a practice.
Yep. And I think, that it goes back to that gratitude and the intention because we're talking about offerings. What part of it is something that is helpful for you to, what is it that makes you feel grateful?
Yeah.
Is it taking a piece of bread from your sandwich and putting it out for the birds? Then do that. And Pia said, yes, Chris, I don't want to feel like I have to. I want to do it because I want to.
It should never feel like an obligation because it never is. You are not born obligated to give an offering to anything. We do it because it's right relation. We want to be grateful because we are born on this planet and things help us out. I was going to say too, like that somebody mentioned something a minute ago, like start small. Polyamorous rules apply in polytheism too. So the king's harems, he couldn't have more wives than he could satisfy, right? So it's just like friendships. Love is infinite, but your time, energy, and effort is not because you're mortal. So I can have 1,000 friends on Facebook, or I can have 10. Who am I going to interact with more, right? So don't start small. If you have nowhere else to start, I would start with ancestors, just general ancestors, even if it's not like specific ancestors. That's always a good place to start, and then build from there. Don't take on more than you can handle.
Start small. Start small. Start small. Yeah. Nalani said, "Oh, so I have to stop watching you and start doing stuff."
No armchair magician.
No, you don't have to. We want you to.
Or you should want to. It's if you don't want to do it, then an offering's not going to. This is what Chris has been saying. If you don't want to do it, the offering won't be accepted.
Yeah. An obligation can make one feel as though the exchange is transactional.
Yes.
Yeah. And Tony's giving some great advice there. So, well, me too.
Everybody is intimidated at the unknown.
And that's why I start small. So, yes, and you got a good point there. Okay, so we're just after our hour, and I was trying to keep this as close to an hour because I know some people have got some great stuff. Any last minute words?
We got to quite a bit. Yeah,
we did.
I'm really heartened to see so many people in the chat. Because that was the thing I was talking about. Like, it was missing from my practice as when I was coming through the Wiccan sort of tradition that I was then. Now I meet little witchlings at the bar all the time, and like they're already doing this shit. And I'm like, fuck yeah. Sorry. But the most important thing to me is that even people who aren't like in magic-y stuff are getting into like ancestor stuff. And that's been missing from Western culture specifically for a couple of thousand years.
Yeah.
So that's really good. They've been waiting to come back. Like,
Mhm.
oof, we need to
They're ready. They're
then
ready.
it's spank some butts.
So,
Mhm.
Deb, Angela, wisdom, thoughts, silly comments.
Just be respectful when you give an offering. Be respectful and have gratitude.
And what Hypnicity said, that she wants to do it, but she doesn't have confidence. Nolani, start small, do a little thing.
Yep.
And then you will build your confidence. As long as you approach with gratitude and love, it will be accepted.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like candle,
Candles,
all
light.
you need. It does it, again, song, whatever. But like I said before, I can light incense all day long. I can go pour water out anywhere I want to. It's not an offering until I say this is for. And I will always recommend saying that out loud
Yes.
because your intentions then are already in a spell. You're putting vibrations into the universe. They need to hear it outside your head. That's part of the process too. That's why we're doing these physical exchanges.
All right. Nolani said, "Are you calling me a witch? I thought I was an angel."
Kind of
They're
different.
the same thing, aren't they?
Only
Just-
in some worlds is that different.
Yeah.
Not ours.
Yeah. Oh, and I love it. Plucky Heroine is always, going for, can there be part 2? Read gifts from the spirit, from universe that show up and why. I mean, you can always try. Thank you, Sylvia. I accept any woo-woo. There you go. Shaw Woman, thank you for being here. Thank you, Chris, Angela. Thank you. Everybody has gone over and liked and subscribed to all of your channels, so you know what's going on. I'll be on later today with the Mystic 4. I'm hosting them at 7 tonight, or 7:30. And then Deb and Angela will be back on Monday evening for another caffeinated and unfiltered. And then I am happy to have I have Heart-Centered Tarot on Monday for Casual. So I'm looking forward to this. So, but yeah, hang around, people. Follow, like, subscribe, and thank you, everyone. Thank you,
I
Chris.
really love this one.
Deb and Angela. All right. Bye, everyone.